I'm stoked to be here. I've never been inside.
Oh, really? This is your first time in the COBO Pod, huh? And you have been here for the art classes that Jackie decided to not participate in.
Bail on.
Yeah, it's
I have
okay.
prior engagements.
I understand.
I don't know what I was doing.
I think you were two-ing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were two-ing.
I think you're
Just
2 in one of the
working.
times, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
slaving away.
Yeah,
we
make
missed
mama
you.
that money.
Oh,
It was
appreciate
fun.
being missed.
Yeah, those were fun.
We actually did an owl episode, was our episode prior to Reese and Lowe's last episode. And he talked, the art therapist that does the classes in here, did do the classes in here. And we had a pretty cool conversation. If you haven't caught that one, check it out. Collin, particularly because you've taken a class from him.
Yeah.
A couple of classes.
Yeah, we did the 2. That was fun. It was really fun. It was interesting to see the way he, interacted with the kids and the way they interacted with him. And
What I find pretty freaking awesome about the whole thing is how enthusiastic you were. You definitely lit my painting stoke, because I don't paint often enough. Personally, I think that I should be painting more, but when you were like, yeah, I want to go, like, I was like, hell yeah, it's awesome. I was stoked on that. So you were so stoked on it, and how you interacted with the kids as well. You're very, enthusiastic and supportive, and I just love that vibe about you in general. But I think that definitely, it made it so cool for me, because we were able to talk about it later and have that kind of moment for us, you and I.
yeah, it's fun.
No offense,
It's fun to do that stuff. I mean, I had a cousin, who was autistic and such, and he was never able to do stuff to that degree. He was
Pretty high on the spectrum.
Also had cerebral palsy, so we couldn't really focus on that stuff. But it was always fun to do that kind of stuff. And we actually had a program in high school called Best Buddies, and I'd love to interact in that too. I've always been more involved with that stuff. I don't know if it necessarily involved me because of my family, because I had someone in my family who had it. But it was always fun to interact with them, and they're just so cheerful, and it makes you feel not that you're spending your time and it makes them feel good, but it makes you feel good in the sense that you're spending time with them, and it really brightens their day, and especially to do this painting, it's taking what we do, artistically, and bringing them together with us to have a great time. That's the best thing I can think of,
Yeah.
I agree, and Al agrees fully, as you know, with that.
When I was a child, I was actually very shy. I never would talk to people. I was an only child, or I am an only child, and I never was, interested in communicating with parents or adults. And it kind of grew as I got older, as I would assume it would with anyone else. But with that happening, I started to become more and more able to talk to people and grown-ups when I was in middle school, where it was like, oh, okay, yeah, use your words, It's that whole kind of lesson your parents taught, use your words to communicate. And it grew and grew throughout high school, and being able to, go to a job and take people's orders, or, I worked at Zoomies for a while, so I'd have to get shoe sizes and skateboards and stuff like that. So it grew in that aspect. And, then I went into college and did communications as a major.
That's a big deal.
Just to get out of it, because to be honest, not to interrupt you,
No.
Collin, but to be perfectly honest, I would never imagine that you couldn't talk to an adult. You are the most eloquent, and not only eloquent, but just you're very authentic when you talk to people in general, but to even like my mother or my dad, they just adore you because you give off this vibe that's just real. It's very, very real. And it's very, I don't know, it's refreshing too, because especially in a generation where you see a lot of different things, you see lot of different sides to people, but you kind of get like a vibe from certain young 23-year-olds that are, doing their thing and they're, whatever. And so it's one of those things where I find it very refreshing for me, and I'm feel very lucky to have you in my corner, in my shop, doing the tattoos and everything like that. But your vibe definitely brings, it's a very unique one. It's unique.
I agree. How I would describe it is what she's saying, and I fully agree, is you have it is authentic and genuine, but you have a thoughtful way of communicating with people is the way I would kind of describe it. And I picked that up the first few times we were talking. And I think, just throwing this out there, I think that's going to have a huge benefit in your client work. And I bet you see that.
Oh, 100%
already.
100%. And well, I've learned that from Reese, and I'm sure you have too. We've both taken that away. The way you interact with your clientele is huge, because it's, and I've talked to multiple people about this, where it's, you come in, you get tattooed, and you leave at a normal shop.
There's nothing personal about it.
And the thing with that is, when people ask me, how do you build your clientele, or how do people hear about you? And it's more word of mouth, than anything at this point, I would say, but it's also social media and building on that and such. But the funny thing about it is, a lot of people have told me when they come back to me is they want to come back because they feel like they're our friend, and I see that with you a lot. Your regulars come in, they're like,
it's the whole experience.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, by the way, remember when I was telling you about so-and-so? And then you're like, oh my God, what happened?
Right.
It's like, it's
You
that
build a
friendship.
relationship.
Exactly. It's that friendship level that you want to connect with your clients to keep going. And I really learned that from multiple aspects of things. One being with you, and two, from school and doing communication classes, and really like putting myself out there, standing up in front of 30 plus people. It's a small group, but and
hey, that's a classroom full of people. Don't sell that short.
But it's like you're getting up in front of strangers that you don't necessarily know, and all of a sudden you're like, after it, you're like, whoa, I did that.
I dropped out of my public speaking class in college.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was like,
No.
I cannot, but I can. I mean, with my job of doing like the service industry, I can talk to anybody. I can talk to any amount of people, and I can run that.
Yeah.
Public
But if,
speaking is another beast altogether.
But the classroom setting, and it's just a different environment. I was like, I cannot. I literally cannot do this. It was really difficult.
It's weird in that aspect, because after I did a couple presentations in front of that class, I felt like I could do 100 people. And then after that, I could feel like 500 people. And I felt like I could talk to anyone. And it's funny, because you can't be tight on yourself when you're talking to people. You can't get in your head, and it's easy to get in your head about that stuff, but you have to act like you're the dork. And no, it's true.
You can be scripted.
Yeah,
No, it's
There's no
absolutely true.
script.
You
Just
have to.
imagine being the whale penis.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be the dork and just go for it. And, people, they'll laugh at you, or they'll, do this. But I learned that's one thing I love doing, is making people laugh in that aspect.
By being yourself.
Exactly.
And if you are unregrettably yourself and prepared for the topic of discussion, epically prepared for the topic of discussion, there's no losing.
Exactly.
It's like there's no way to lose. It's very interesting what you say about after you've talked to 40 people, you feel like you can talk to 500 people or so on. Not many people get that feeling, okay? I can say for myself, I was afraid to death of public speaking. Whenever I was in college and took public speaking classes, I would stand up and just sweat. I sweat now during podcasts, and I don't even sweat when I run 5 miles, right? I don't know what it is, but I get nervous. And whenever I do large conventions and stuff like that, I mean, the biggest scary thing was speaking at Columbia University, because I was surrounded by the epitome of smart people. So it was impossible for me to be prepared. Impossible. In my mind, right? But I was actually going there to speak to them about something that they wanted to know about and didn't know much about anyway. And it more so became like I was having an open dialogue conversation like this, where people were interested in raising their hand and asking questions. And once you have that interaction piece, that's when it's game over. Yeah. For me, that's when the light bulbs start to go on. It's so cool that you have found that strength in you. And I think we all clearly see it as an asset, and probably could learn a lot from you in that way, actually.
Yeah. It comes across in different ways too. Like even with running the Instagram for the shop and the captions, like I don't know how you come up with that and how you word it, but it's so unique and it's so you, and it's amazing. Every single one, we're like, there's nothing I would change.
I agree. Yeah. When you first started doing all the captions, I was really, really impressed with your writing, and it felt good. Yeah. It felt like something
and it felt
that
real.
You would normally hear from like a tattoo shop. Everything's like very edgy and things like that, and which I love. Obviously, the shop's called the Edge, but at the end of the day, I do want to feel you want to be a part of a community when you come into the shop. And for me, I think the biggest reason why, and we can even do a shameless plug here, that we're opening up a tattoo shop. It's like a little segue. But I don't think that it, honestly, I was telling Logan this, that I've been thinking about opening up a shop for years, and how it didn't come through, and it didn't come through so many times. However, all of a sudden I have a good team, I have a good backing, I have this and I have that. It just so happened to be so perfect this time around during quarantine, but like during the COVID. Yeah. But that we've come together so randomly, very randomly, and how we've all met and how we all have come together and vibed very well. And now we work together, and now we're a family. I think that's it's just perfect timing to open up a shop right now and have that kind of vibe. The way you communicate via social media, as far as captions go, in general as well, but as far as the captions go, it's very much like when I read first two, I was like, trust. Yeah. He's got the trust. I'm good. I don't need to look at it because mama is tired. I don't want to look at any more captions.
It's hard.
Yeah. No, but you do a really good job, baby. So I love it.
Thank you.
I think that's really important, being on the receiving end of tattoos all over the country, from deep Texas to a garage on a workout bench in backwoods of Georgia. Savannah, Georgia, to Manhattan, to Reese, and here locally at Insights. I've worked on a lot of places, and not a lot, but several. Mm-hmm. If I'm not connected with my artist, I'm not feeling it, bro.
It's just not.
I'm out. Not coming back.
It's not as high valued at other places, and I think that's what's the difference, and that's also what you've even built your whole business. A big part of it with the Inspired Instagram course is communicating with the clients. And we talk about it all the time. How to talk to people, and even just starting with the emails. And that's just how it starts and it grows. And I've gotten tattooed by many people that I probably won't go back to. Their work's amazing, but I just don't have that connection. I didn't feel as comfortable. It just wasn't there. The vibe wasn't there. And as much as I respect and love their work, and I'm happy to have beautiful art on me, I probably won't go back just because of the experience. And I think that's what we all bring to the table, is we bring a unique experience that people enjoy and they want to be around. Whether they figure out their next tattoo in the next year or week or tomorrow, they're going to come back to us no matter what.
How many times do we get out of like our clientele that we're like, I want one from each of you, just because they want to stay in the shop?
Yeah. I want the same. I want you to do my butt cheek.
Wait, I wanted to be the booty cheek girl. Come on.
We'll go one for one. There's two cheeks on every person.
You guys get to flip a coin on which is left or right. I'm just kidding.
It's pretty wild.
I'm being serious though, and it's not just because Reese and I are obviously connected in some way, but I've seen your artwork, and I'm not just throwing you a bone. I've seen what you guys do, and you're happy. We were talking about this in our last episode. You seem so stoked to do what it is that you're doing.
We have the best job in the world.
That's what's so cool, because I've been to tattoo artists where It's a turn and burn machine. They don't even look you in the eye, but 1% of the time of the 8 hours that you're in their shop.
Yep.
Like they don't look you in the eye.
It's such a unique thing of getting tattooed and just sitting there with somebody for 8 hours, 1 hour. You have to eventually open up some sort of conversation at some point, or you don't. But it's just that feeling of you're super close to a human being. They're in a very unique scenario that they signed up for. In pain, which is not easy. And a lot of times it turns into either a therapy session for them or for me. And we connect in some way, shape, or form. And they're sharing things and I'm sharing things I wouldn't share with an average person like anybody on the street that I'd meet.
Sometimes but even your closest friends, like you're like
that I've known my whole life and I've never shared these pieces with. And then you're sitting down with somebody I just met 10 minutes ago and we're opening up about all of these things. And especially for reasons of getting tattooed as well, people will open up to me. And I had a client that opened up about something that her own sister didn't even know that was in the room. And she's never told her in her entire life. And told me, and she's like, this is the reason I'm getting this tattoo. And she was like, it has changed my life. And I know that. And it's like, it's so unique and different. And it's really impactful. It's
a responsibility.
Even just like saying it out loud of like having somebody tell me this information, something so personal and close and deep to them. And then them wanting to share that with me or give that to them to give them that closure or space or whatever, or peace, whatever it brings them. That's literally the best job in the world. I can't think of anything better than that.
It's such the reward of it because we keep saying therapy, because it is. You always hear tattoo therapy.
Don't
a
be
lot
sad,
of people
go get a tattoo.
A lot of people go for it, because it's like, oh, I want the feeling of the needle, or I want that connection with the artist. And I'm sure you've had plenty of people like that. I'm sure you've had plenty of people like that. I've had plenty of people like that. And then there's been I remember one specific day where I think I'd only been with you about 4 months or 5 months working with you. And back when I was a child. But I remember doing one of their pieces that was so sentimental to them that they were so in awe and just so, it wasn't even a sentimental piece, but it was just so, they loved it so much that they wouldn't stop raving about it. And it was just one of those days that just hit so well. So I,
you feel like
cleaned
you're
up.
on cloud nine.
Yeah, I cleaned up the shop, left the shop, took the coast, turned on the music, and all of a sudden it was just that good, that good part of the song where you're just like, fuck yeah. And all of a sudden I just start bawling. Because I was just so happy that I had given someone that. And I also then I was doing something that I loved that someone told me I couldn't do, or that it was a hobby, that I couldn't make it a career. And that it was just that big fuck you moment that I was just that overcame me. And I was just the coast. Oh, it was a day.
That's a beautiful story, man. And it's such a fuck you moment because tattoo artists do better than a lot of other folks in other industries. And folks don't get that. Don't get that.
No.
And it absolutely is a living. Are we kidding ourselves? Like, it not only is it artistic, creative, it's surgical, in my opinion, right? Absolutely. And this therapy element is huge. Now, do I go in because I want to talk to somebody? Yeah. No, I usually take a nap for 80% of the time or close my eyes and relax.
For something different.
Yeah. But it is therapy for me. Because it's a moment where I have to sit still, I have to be focused, I have to be in my own head, and I come up with some of the greatest ideas while I'm getting tattooed. It's very meditative for me as well.
A lot of people have made that I've heard that a lot.
I bet.
That it's super meditative.
I bet.
It's good stuff.
What a cool experience, man. Thank you guys for sharing all of that.
Anytime.
It's very cool. So we're talking about kind of the vibe and the feel that you guys bring to not only the shop, but just who you are. It is who you are. It's the essence of who you guys are. It becomes a family. It's a community where other people feel connected to your family and community, your clients and so on. How do y'all see that evolving when you get into the new shop? It's just it's like hanging new paint on the walls, right? Or is it really a step change?
I mean, I would leave that up to my kids. That's what I call them. If for anybody that needs to know, I do call my kids, but they are my tattoo artists. They are not my kids, but I love them very, very much. And for me, I always wanted to open up a public shop. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's always been something that's been on my mind just as a stepping stone. It has never been something personal. Or it can be personal, but it was always just a stepping stone for me in the direction of goal-oriented futures.
Just the next step.
Made it big when you got your own brick and mortar shop.
Absolutely. So for me, it's a big deal in that regard. But at the time when I was thinking about it, it was always just like, I never followed through because it just didn't seem, it's like I had a private studio. I was totally cool doing my private studio. I didn't need the clientele. When you open up a brick and mortar shop, it's definitely more for walk-in traffic, to gain more visibility and to make a name for yourself as a tattoo artist until you can open up your own, bring your clientele there and help others out, and et cetera, et cetera. And so now that I have these two amazing, or three really, my sweet videographer over there, Terrence.
We don't want to forget Terrence.
We don't want to forget Terrence because he is very much part of this family.
Such a sweet boo.
He is. I love him to death. But Terrence, along with Collin and Jackie, as my artists who follow me with me, it's almost as though, and I don't want to say I'm doing anything for anybody. I do everything for myself. But there's a part of me that feels very excited for them. And there's a part of me that's almost does it because I'm like, this is something you guys can do later. This is something so easy, and I want you guys to be in the part of that with me, and the emotional part of that with me, because you guys have been through it with me when mama's up and down, like when I'm high and when I'm low, you guys are there, and you guys see it all, and you see the stresses and everything. And I think that there's a part of me I feel vulnerable in that moment, but I also feel very lucky to have you because you guys are so excited, or I hope so anyway. And
not
it. But like where I feel it feels very connected to me, and it feels right in this moment, more right than it ever has for me before, with you guys involved, to be perfectly honest.
It's the family aspect of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that our dynamic won't change necessarily. I think we'll grow together when we move into the new shop. I do think we are going to have a fourth person with us. And so I think that might, have an impact on our dynamic. But of course, we're always hoping for the positive outcome in that.
Yeah.
However, I just think the four of us together, I have such huge visions, and you guys, very much attribute to that. Yeah. So I think that as we grow together and as we'll make it happen.
Yeah. I think our connection with each other is our superpower. I think that's what changes the game for our shop versus every other shop that's out there. Any shop, like, they have amazing artists and they do beautiful things. I've been to some really nice shops, and it's phenomenal, the work that they put out and these people, but there's no connection between all of them together. I don't think I've ever seen a shop that has the same aspect of like a family that we do. I really don't. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but
I haven't.
I've only been to so many, and I've only been tattooing for over a year, but there's nothing else like it. Yeah, and I think that with the new shop, it's just going to put that out there more publicly to the world. And I hope that it changes it for other shops as well. And maybe they get inspired and want that same feeling. And then it kind of changes the industry. I don't know.
That's where I'm at.
Baby girl, I love it. Keep going.
Well, that's where I'm at when I see it from afar, right?
Yeah.
When I see it from afar and hear the vision that Reese has had for the shop, and then listen to you guys talk about it, it's clear that there's some unity in the team between you all. And I love that you say it's your superpower, because I say that whenever I'm building teams in my consulting business, is that, and when you're in an execution phase, exactly. When you're in an execution phase or a growth phase, that really is your superpower, or your team members and the folks that you work with. And then also knowing kind of what your strengths are inside of your team, for example, communication, captions, guidance through how to connect, and like an integral platform on how to grow is what Reese brings to the table with a really epic skill set, right? Not only on design and creativity, but also guidance, right, on the vision. And you have some really epic artwork and skill set that you're bringing, and all of the stuff. Like whenever I come into the shop and I see you working, I'm just like, man, this person is so happy doing what she's doing, and so is their client, and so is her client. Honestly, I was saying that in one of our other episodes. It's just you're so easy to get along with and probably make your folks feel really comfortable and getting tattooed. And so you do all have your own superpowers, if you will, that you bring to a table that makes a really badass team of Avengers.
Absolutely.
But what I think is so cool is when you bring it into the new shop space and you open your doors in a different way and you market it in a little different way. Are you guys, just curious, are you guys going to be doing walk-ins?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely want to incorporate walk-in traffic for the shop because I do think it is overall would be beneficial to us all. I personally will not take walk-ins, and I won't say never just because if I have the time, I'll do it. But at the end of the day, I do think that when you take a walk-in, let me just describe it this way. When you take someone that's off the street in a moment like that, it triggers a different part of your brain of creativity that allows you to either you work well under pressure or you don't, or you're going to learn how to work well under pressure. Either one. But I really like that idea because when I first started, and I think a lot of people start this way as a tattoo artist when you're just getting into the industry, is you take as many walk-ins as you can and you just turn and burn is what I call it. And you do all the styles, you do everything because at the end of the day, you're just trying to make the client happy. Now, for me, I'm really stoked because I have two young artists who I've very much wanted to make sure that they understood the power of having a niche, a style within the industry, and how that could be so much more beneficial in the long run to be patient and stick to your style, stick to your guns about what you're doing as far as artistry in the industry, because there's so many different types of artists, and the more niche down you get, the better it actually is in the long run. And so the fact that they've been able to stick to that and really design around that, even in the moment under pressure during a walk-in situation where, hey, I'm gonna go, I want this fine line thing. I know that Collin will either be like, you know what, Jackie's got time, I'm gonna give it to her, or you know what, I know I've got this, I'm gonna do this in my own way, in my style that says this is Collin's style of fine line type tattoo. And so that's, for me, that's a big deal. And so I think that they're very much conditioned to handle that kind of pressure and to stick to their guns about their style and with which they can keep growing their ideal clientele from there. So that's the biggest deal for me. And so I think that they're very much ready for that. And I want that. I want to see the traffic. I like seeing people in and out of shops. And I understand that things are going to be changing with regulations as far as COVID goes. However, I say send it. Let's go for it. Let's invite as many people as we can in there and get people to know the shop as a community, as far as we want people to want to be there. Not just, hey, I'm here to get, my boobs done or something
right.
like that's very sterile and cold, and that's not my jam.
You said something I think is cool, is you've got to send it. I mean, There's so many unknowns in the socioeconomic equation right now on, where the puppets, in particularly in your industry, of the governor of the state of California. Mm-hmm. And only he knows what regulations are going to be passed next and what businesses are on or off the chopping block from that perspective. So you're in it to win it and gonna figure it out. That's clear to me. And to send it and just open your doors, like you said, to everybody that wants to come in as soon as they allow it, is the way to go. Yeah.
And I don't think it makes it very hard too when I have a really good core team that has my back. And
totally.
I know that, I know I could do it on my own, but the fact that I have the team and the family that I have, it makes it that much easier to send it the way that I do. So
you guys sound committed.
100%.
That's what's up.
In it to win it.
they're
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Girl.
When Reese had started talking about public shop, and everything.
You were super excited.
I think
you've
me and-
always been very excited about that.
I was
I
always
think me and
like,
Colin have been waiting for it.
I know you guys
When's
have
it
been
gonna-
waiting.
Let's go.
we were
let's
just
go,
like,
let's go.
hit the ground running. You should have
We already had our uniforms picked out. We're just like, we're
Oh my
ready.
God.
Not that
We just
you,
need-
not that you shouldn't have told us like so far ahead, but when it was like like you were considering it and everything, it was like, well, okay, so are we looking at space?
breathe.
Where's this? Where's this? And she's like, well, it was a thought, not a thing yet. And then now, where we're coming to, being so close to opening, it's like shit's hitting and running.
Yeah.
We're
You
doing
made
this.
okay. So let me just put this into a bit of. Let me applaud both of my artists here. As an artist, when you first start out, you got to make ends meet. So you got a second job. That's the way it goes. And then Jackie, I call him my Jackie, my Colin, Jackie and Colin. So Jackie, she had it calculated out on when she was like, I'm going to send it. I'm going to be a full-time tattoo artist. And Colin just recently was like, I'm going to send it. I'm going to be a full-time tattoo artist, which makes me so stoked for him just to jump off the deep end and be like, I'm going to sink or swim. I'm going to swim.
I mean, it was one of those things that for the past year and a half now, I've been, okay, maybe I can, stop, maybe reduce my hours or quit, So then I would reduce my hours, and then I'm like, well, still not happy. I'm still doing, this, part-time job, and I'm not, really happy about it, and I kept battling myself where I was like, yeah, but it's help paying bills in the meantime and everything. And I was so back and forth in my head.
There's always a
and
way to justify it when you're doing something that's hard and scary.
And you guys have seen it. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it.
I went through it. Yeah, we all did, I think,
Of course. And I think the best part about it, though, for me was that I was never, I hope I'm never a pusher in the negative way. I put, look at your face.
A pusher.
I do. I push.
I was going to say she pushes a little, but not in a negative
She's
way.
like, you should totally send it, but in your own time.
We were just having that conversation.
today.
She's like, you should totally run away with it.
Yeah.
But take your time on when you want to
but
do it.
But maybe soon because you're ready. But
And make sure you let
do
me
it when
know.
you're comfortable. I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
But let me know exactly when you're starting and when it's ending.
Because I can't wait to help you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's where
the
I'm
biggest
at.
thing is you're always our biggest cheerleader in the stands with our faces on sticks, and you're just like, "That's my kid. I love you. You're amazing." And
Exactly.
we might trip and fall here and there, but she's like, "You're still doing great. Just keep going." I'm like, "All right." There's always we
happens.
just know that in the end, whenever we choose to make, and we have to make the decisions for ourselves, is when we're gonna jump or do whatever we want to do or try something new or whatever it may be. But I think we always know that we definitely always have that one over there, mama, to be there no matter what. And then we also, me and Colin, I think we always have each other's back in the end.
Of
and
course.
we're very much, I always say you're like my brother. And I was like, I would do anything, help in any way, be there in whatever way I can, and always support. And I think that is also a big additive to our
Dynamic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Absolutely.
and I think
sweet,
it makes it
Jackie.
better. It helps. Yeah.
so
It makes
sweet.
it makes it feel not so scary. Because
Yeah.
you're like, if I fall, at least I have support and I have people that are in my corner.
Fuck
So-
yeah.
Super critical.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I got that. I got your back, girl.
That's
Feels
where
good.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel good. Feels good.
So when you anticipate, I know availability for opening doors is one thing, and then actually being able to tattoo in the space is another. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel right now
Always like.
for a date?
As far as the date of opening, well, we were hoping September 1st, but that's still up in the air as far as date goes. But I would say no matter what, I believe LA is supposed to be opening up in October. So if that's the latest it's going to be, then that's what's going to happen.
And if they're getting the worst of it,
I was going to say, if LA is opening San
in
Diego,
October, I'm sure San Diego might open earlier. But at the end of the day, we are going to take it one day at a time.
Right.
And as far as that goes, we'll just make the shop super pretty
Word.
until
We'll
the
find a way.
time, you know, when it comes. So I'm extremely excited for it to open, and I know that it's going to be beautiful and awesome, and no matter what, it's going to.
It's not if anymore, it's just when.
Yeah.
But we'll
Yeah,
be
agreed.
ready.
Yeah, we'll be ready when it's up. So at this point, it's
Shooting
there's
for
no date
October?
really. I mean, I guess we can try. I would love to shoot for September
Sure.
because my birthday is
seriously.
September 15th, and I really want that to happen. That would be a great birthday present for me. But
I
at the end
agree.
of the day, I'm open to whatever fucking happens.
I'll
to be
see if I
honest with
can't get
you.
a hold of the government before September 15th. See if I can't
You are a
deliver.
saint.
Yeah,
See if I can't deliver that birthday present early.
Newsom, where you at? If you're listening,
Classic. Open up. It's time, bro. No, you're right. San Diego County has been more progressive on policy and implementation of opening spots than LA.
definitely.
Okay.
So I think, as you said, yeah, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, but I think it's going to come sooner than we think. And yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. for
Yeah,
you.
it'll be exciting no matter what we're sending it.
It's
We're
a
ready.
new,
We're
it's a new
ready.
chapter. It's moving forward to something big and exciting that we, well,
Against all odds.
you know, not
Of
necessarily.
COVID.
Yeah.
Can we make it dramatic?
Of COVID.
It's just something new that not necessarily we haven't dealt with, but we've never done as a family. You know, that it's
I love you. I just fucking love you.
it's just something. It's all new chapter for all the three of us going at it together to figure out the flaws and the highs and the lows of everything. And at the end of the day, whether, you know, we're stressed out in the beginning or later on down the road, we're still moving forward in that aspect to, you know, push for the higher
For
ground.
success.
Yeah, exactly.
And or in our own way,
Yeah,
to be honest.
exactly.
So, no, it's great. I'm glad you guys are excited. That's at least we got that on
Nailed.
camera. That can't be unsaid.
Excitement.
Committed.
This is the face of
Now.
excitement.
And excited.
Yeah, exactly. Can't delete that over there.
You can't delete that. You're stuck with me.
Oh, man.
Till I die.
Shoot.
I think it's funny how you parallel doing it together. It's kind of like moving in with someone. So you either move in with them to a place that they've already got, which is what the two of you did. And then there's moving into a new place together. It's a whole different kind of change management process
Yeah.
entirely.
It really is.
Because and it's a different
I didn't even think about it like
growth step, if
It
you
is.
will, in a family or a team. And I've been through that in big business where you've got to move a facility to a whole nother facility, or if you've got a department and you're like closing them down and you've got to move them into a building where there's other departments type thing. But on y'all's level, it's so intimate and you all know each other so well. It's really a beautiful thing. But that's kind of what I thought about initially when you were talking. It's kind of like moving in with someone versus moving into a new space together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more unified.
We all have a say per se. I still hold the reins, but no. But when it
We
comes
got that on
to,
camera, too.
Yeah, you're welcome. When it comes to as far as like aesthetic, and when I think of them as far as their tastes, along with my own and compromise and things like that, I think that overall what I've chosen to do with the shop will be super exciting, and they'll be so stoked to work in an environment that's
It feels like
that
home.
feels like they're starting
We're a
a
part
new.
of
This
it.
is a new chapter, as you say, Collin, and I think that that's very. I know it's exciting. I'm just excited to see you guys in it. I'm excited for myself. I'm excited for the future. It just honestly, I'm stoked for you guys and to see your growth. It re-stokes my stoke when you guys are stoked.
Yeah. And another thing,
Stoke and stoke.
Quote unquote.
yeah, another thing I want to point out is that I haven't even seen the space yet. We've talked about it. I know where it is. I've never been in it. I've seen the outside of it, driving along the coast and everything.
Weekly, he stalks it.
Yeah, I do my coastally drive.
Binoculars in the bushes.
He's
there it
my
is.
little stalker. He's stalking the way.
But the way you've described how you want it to look with, the black walls facing north and, having Dave's paintings up and all these, really nice look, this sleek look to it. Mm-hmm. That's where I think we're going to come in being so much different and so much more unique.
What's funny is I think it's going to still have a similar vibe to our space now.
Oh, 100%.
Which people love. But
People
not
do
purple.
love it. Oh, my bad.
Not purple,
I was purple 3 years ago, guys.
People still ask me about my
it
wall. They're
very
like, did you do
regal?
this? And I'm like,
Nah,
no.
Mama just liked to splurge
Yeah.
all over the
Yeah, I
place
think-
with gold.
I think it'll still have that same feel. It'll still feel like it'll be new, but it will still feel like home, I think, from day one. And I think that's what people even love about the space now is they like walk in, they're like almost maybe out of relief that it's not like traditional
So
shop.
much,
And they're
yeah.
like, I feel comfortable here. Like I feel like this is open and it's safe or comforting or whatever it may be. And it's not, there's such a, what do you
Intimidate. Well,
Like,
there's an
it's-
intimidating feel in tattoo shops when you go to
Yeah,
tattoo
you have
shops
this vision
oftentimes.
of what you're gonna walk into, and then when that's completely different, you're like, huh. It's like not a relief, but it's different. And I think for 99% of people, they're very happy walking
so
in there. I don't know.
funny about our shop now, our studio now, rather, our private studio now, is that you have my clientele anyway. They're like, wait, you're moving. They're so bummed.
Yeah,
because
even
they
my
love the
clientele, they're like, I
space.
love it here
Because they
I'm like,
feel
"Me too."
comfortable. They don't feel as though they're being watched, I suppose. I think in large shops,
private.
it feels very intimate, private. You feel exclusive. There's a point of exclusivity where you feel very like, this is my way of letting off steam or
think that's why
therapy
people
or
feel so
whatever you
safe.
want to. They feel very safe. And so in this particular shop, even though it'll be off the PCH, in front of everything, in front of everybody, anybody walking by, we still have that exclusivity factor in there. And that's what I really, really wanted to portray in the design and not only in the vibe. And so with us being there, and you guys know me very well, you guys vibe off of me and how I treat my clientele, how I operate and things like that. And that in general, the vibe in general, even if the shop looked like a traditional shop, it would still hold that exclusivity vibe.
Exactly.
So it is all about our own dynamic as far as us together and as us as tattoo artists and entrepreneurs, essentially as customer service people. We offer a service and we're trying to give an experience at this point. And that's what we want to understand. That's why it's called The Edge, the ultimate tattoo experience coming, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I wanted to be like, it's not just a tattoo session, it's an experience. And I think that comes with the person, not only the space, but the space will come together with that.
Look at
Of
that.
course.
Yeah, it'll look good.
The culture you're bringing to it with that mindset is going to make it happen. I'm
excited.
certain of that.
Yeah.
And what you keep saying is safe. I think that's really important for the clients to feel safe because it's a daunting experience, particularly on first timers or the first time I've been to your shop. I know that you have a lot of repeat customers and clients, but having been a first timer at a bunch of different shops, I can just say it's a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get, but 90% of the time when I walk in, and I guess I'm a tough customer for the most part when I'm getting a tattoo because of what your point was. Customer service is critical for me. You know, when I get there and I don't feel comfortable, I'm pretty much out. Like you can have my deposit.
Yeah.
I think
you
too
can
the
have it.
stakes are higher because we're not a necessity. It's not like you're going to eat because I need food to survive.
I would like to be on the contrary of that point. But a lot of clients say that I'm a necessity in their lives. So I'm just going to take that like it is and say
Baby,
that
I
I
need
am a
you.
necessity.
I need you if that
Yeah,
matters.
We need
You need me
you.
to finish that arm, which we're starting next week, baby boy.
I'm ready, Bones.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what I mean? So it's not, I wouldn't necessarily put us in as far as essential or necessity, to be perfectly honest, I think that's perspective and opinion. A lot of people come back. I get Christmas cards from clients that I've tattooed years ago.
I remember that.
And they'll send it to me because they are so grateful for that tattoo and what I did for them. And it's that was a necessity to their body because they wanted to remember that person or remember that thing or hide that scar. Or for me, it just depends on the person. So as far as necessity goes, of course, we're not necessarily a necessity.
Because there's always the opposite end of the people that have no tattoos. And they're like, well, I don't need that to literally live or survive.
True.
But it's like I just think it's unique in that way where since it's not a necessity, people are coming to us by their own will to be put in an uncomfortable situation. And if we can give them a safe space or somewhere that's comfortable and different and give an experience, the ultimate tattoo experience, then that just sets us apart. And that's it.
I agree.
Bang, bang.
I think that what you were talking about, Reese, is really cool. In particular, the necessity aspect, right? I agree with Jackie, and I also agree with you. It's not food, shelter, and clothing. It's not that. However, at the same time, food, shelter, and clothing for someone who has food, shelter, and clothing has a different set of needs.
Subjective to any person.
Agreed. And if you go back, I think it's 5,200 to 6,000 years ago, is the first discovery of someone who was preserved, not intentionally. I think they call him the Iceman. He was, if I'm right, I think he was found with tattoos.
Yes.
More recently?
Yes, the
it's
most
like
recent
6,000 years ago or something like that, like BC, 2200 or 1800 or something like that. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just making this up probably as usual.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds right. Sounds
Exactly.
But
right.
this guy had tattoos. I think the person before that was found was like 2,000 years ago and had tattoos as well. And they're trying to understand why. Was it status? Was it functional? Was it a marking for, his associations?
Yeah.
So if you go back, that's kind of like where I think about what's necessity to us in a modern Western world versus what made a man or woman 5,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, something we can't even fathom on the face of the earth right now, what the world looked like back then. And they're choosing to tattoo themselves with all the time and wherewithal that they've got. Why the hell were they doing it? So if you look at the placement of the tattoos, it was typically over joints. I don't know if you know this. I was just looking at this yesterday. It was over joints. And then in other cases, it was around the stomach for women. It was a netting, almost like a protective netting that they would put over their stomachs in women who had been pregnant as a symbol of protection, as I understood it, or so they think anyway. I found that very interesting, and because in those cultures, when you passed, there was a protective netting around you as well, and so as you were pregnant and you were bringing life to something, they would also protect. So it was like at the beginning of life and at the end of life, they would have a netting around you to sort of keep your insides in.
Like the same thing with Vikings. When you pass, they put your swords and everything with you because they believe that later on, wherever you end up, then you have those things with you and you're safe.
Right.
So you have these permanent markings on you where you're safe and you're protected, or through difficult times or whatever it may be, given birth.
I think that I've read on the fact of markings on your body as far as association, if becoming a man or becoming a woman after, you as a young woman that starts her period, they've gotten markings like that. And as far as that you're ready or how many kills you've had and things like that, I think that there is a lot of things that tattoos have brought in order to mostly association and mostly achievements as far as I know from our past. But other than that, as far as now, I feel it's very similar. You know, we're all trying to make our unique mark on the world. And I will speak for myself, but I believed when I was younger and I was just starting to get tattooed, it made me feel as though it was my own unique self authentically coming out of myself.
I thought you were about to read my mind. I thought you were going to say armor, and I was like, Collin.
Well, that's
I feel like we both
I almost said that too.
That
it's that for me, especially, not so much now. I feel it now, but there are parts of me that's when I was younger, it felt very much like armor. Felt very much like my protection. I liked the fact of being edgy and a little bit as though people were afraid, mysterious, I suppose. But I think that there was a lot of it. Nowadays, for me, it's more as a journey, a journal. It's a journal entry. You can ask me about a tattoo. I can tell you where I got it, how I was feeling, who I got it from,
what was going on.
As far as the content of it, like the foundation, what it is of, don't really care. But that's just me. That's me. I know a lot of people do very much so care about what's going on in their body. And please do. As a tattoo artist, it's okay. But as a person that's getting tattooed, it's something that is very meaningful because it is staying on you for life. I love both ways. But for me as an artist, it's like a piece of me, a unique part of me that makes me me. No other person has the same tattoo twice. I don't care how many times you've tattooed it. I don't care if we have matching tattoos. It's not the same, period.
We do have matching tattoos. I totally forgot about that.
You guys
See
have
that thing every day.
Oh my God, I forgot the G.
Are beautiful.
But it looks like a B.
Yeah.
And we won't talk about it.
Whatever.
See, experience. It's still
we know
special
exactly.
because it doesn't matter. Big old black blob on our arms.
That's all we had to say. Is like,
I remember,
look at this. And then it's like we instantly have.
I'm sorry. You could hear it in his voice. He's like, yeah, I remember when you guys got that when I wasn't there. I'll take you to Germany next time, Collin. God damn it.
Jack rolls her eyes every time I do this and like, oh yeah, back in Germany, right? And she was like, oh fuck, here we go, Collin. Yeah, well, you weren't there. We're sorry.
I find that conversation very interesting because if I do parallel your perspective on tattoos and the creative element of it and just expression, I think is the position, right? Expressing yourself, and armor was sort of a theme in there as an element when you were younger, and you both had that common feeling, if you will, about it, and maybe even you too. I've never been connected to that armor feeling with tattoos before, personally.
I feel like I got my super suit on.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never thought about that.
I feel like it when I was 18 years old and getting tattooed, I know for a fact that as I was coming into my own, as finding myself, it felt very empowering to manipulate my body in a way that I know I saw fit. And for me, it felt very... like I said, it just felt very empowering for me to just be able to slap something on my body for life and be like, yep, that's what I'm going to keep. I'm going to own that.
Well, you're tapping into some core character values.
Absolutely.
And core, very personal values, which is 1, commitment. Number 2, empowerment, self-empowerment, right? You're committed to something for forever. Maybe for the first time in your life. You're
maybe
empowered.
For the only time.
Right. Well, if you get more tattoos.
Yeah. I've met a bunch of people where they're like, I don't have the commitment. They're like, I just can't think of anything
that I could live with
for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I get it.
I do too.
Totally get it.
You're breaching some really pivotal, it doesn't sound like it for all the people in the room because we're all tatted.
Yeah.
But if you back up to that moment of choice is what I call it, where you make that moment of choice where you're committed to this forever. Even a mortgage isn't forever. You can claim bankruptcy. You can sell the house. This is your body. This is the only vessel you're ever going to get. And you are permanently altering it for the rest of time. And everyone around you is usually against it at that time in your life, right? And you are choosing to make a decision that's off the beaten path from all the others. And now you're being like, you see me now.
Totally.
I had somebody recognize me just 'cause they saw the back of my neck and they're like, oh, I knew that was you because I seen your tattoo. I'm like,
Boyfriend?
holy crap.
Or,
No, just a-
ex-boyfriend, one night stand. But I'm just saying,
No, I
you
was getting
set me up
coffee
for that one.
No,
The
I
back of my neck.
shot myself in the foot. I was at Best Pizza and a friend of mine, like, and we're all wearing masks. Like, think about that. Like, we're recognized.
I just find that so interesting because the modern Western world perspective on being tattooed in our generation, particularly. Who else wanted one?
Oh, I'll take one. Thank you, man.
Thanks. Thank you, Peyton. You're the man.
Thanks, buddy.
June Sean is so good.
This is okay. So, side note, this is the first time I've had one, and I wasn't huge on kombucha, let alone hard kombucha. But this is really good, actually. And I know if my girlfriend, when she hears this, she's gonna go, "Oh, now
Brought
you
to
like
you
kombucha?
by-
Oh, now
June
you like
Shine.
it?"
June
Wait,
10 sponsor.
San Diego. Yeah, San Diego.
June Shine.
They stock our fridge here
Thanks, June
so that we
Shine.
can talk about them. Yeah, much appreciate you guys. So if I think about the Western world and our generation in particular, and it's about design, creativity, coming out and being not coming out of like, LGBTQ style of coming out. What I mean is coming out as yourself, being your own person and showing the world that you're empowered to be your own person and you're fucking committed to that. That's what tattoos represent to us in the Western world, I think.
Especially for, like you said, for our generation, when I was getting tattooed, it definitely was not the
accepted.
norm, and especially as a female. And I'm not, what's funny is that the big reason why I steer clear of this conversation is because I'm not even going to say that I had a hard time of it, because I know that other women have had way harder of a time of being a tattooed female if they decided to, or a female tattoo artist in general. But I will say that I have had my fair share of experience with regard to people sharing their opinion with me in person as well as online, is which we all communicate at this point. And so I find that when you decide that you're going to be tattooed, I remember the moment, the day of. First day I turned 18, I skipped a day of school and I was like, I'm gonna get tattooed. And I remember making this promise to myself saying, I will never regret a tattoo, because I knew how many people I was going to have to defend myself to, essentially, especially to my family, when they're like, what are you going to do when you get older? All the questions, you're going to regret it, things like that. And every tattoo I'd ever gotten, I was like, I will never regret this tattoo, because the moment that I do, it will be, the moment I second guess my own self. And so I was just, I'll never do it. I can have everybody's opinion, and they're valid to their opinion. I will never be I was never confrontational about it. I was always very receptive to most people's opinions to it. But at the end of the day, it was more so for me that I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to own it with every part of my being. And ever since then, I'm 33 now. I've been getting tattooed since I was 18. It's been a long time since I've been heavily tattooed. So yeah, it's different.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because I had family do the same thing for me when I started getting tattooed, especially all over my arms necessarily. They were like,
you can see them.
Yeah, you could see them, and they go, well, what are you going to do job wise? And from the beginning, my answer was always, well, I'm not going to be in a job that I'll have to worry about them. That's the thing, is I was like, I wanted these and I wanted them on my body. And like we said, it's our armor. And they were like, well, what do you about, what if the job you want doesn't hire you? Well, then I won't be working at that
I'll
job.
karate chop in the fucking throat.
Yeah, exactly. No. Like then I won't work there.
The cool thing though is that we are in a time where the transition from tattoos to being a stigma related to gangs or some sort of grouping, thing like that, we're turning into a fine artistry where we are now considered. Absolutely, we're no longer considered, something that's, it's not a faux pas. It's not something that you look at and you're like, oh, I can't be if you have a tattoo, you're in a gang. Right now, it's true. I've
No,
had
I get it.
many
Trust me.
people ask me, they're like, oh my goodness, you have tattoos on your face. You must be a part of a gang. And I was very ready for that conversation. I was also very ready to get that kind of opinion from people. But at the same time, I know within myself, I almost just am, I hope you learned something new today is all I care about when I have conversations with people, if they're willing to have the conversation. Otherwise, then they can have the opinion and that's fine by me. But now I've had more people call me a fine artist than call me just anything else.
That
It's
is
amazing.
that is directly related, my humble opinion, directly related to the times.
Absolutely.
In the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up, a young person in middle school and high school in the 80s and 90s, gangs were tattooed, period.
Absolutely.
If you wanted to be a working professional, you did not have exposed tattoo work,
Absolutely.
period. And if you did, go ahead and sweat bullets when you get to your interview if you had a tattoo that was exposed. Or if you had cauliflower ear that was really bad and the guy that was interviewing you is staring at your ear rather than having a conversation with you, right? It's not the same, but it's kind of the same. If you look different, which is really all you're doing by getting tattooed, if I'm right, you look different, you're doing something different, but by association doesn't make you a fucking gang member.
No.
Yeah. Like I could wear a long sleeve shirt and you'd have no idea I'm tattooed.
So,
And
cool
you treat me
story.
the same way.
Cool story associated with that is I was working for 6 or 7 years in a corporate, transferred to a corporate environment, had been working with these people, had that top button buttoned, had the sleeves down all the time. And what happened is I went out for cocktail hour, right? Took off my coat, undid my button, and you could barely catch a glimpse of a little tattoo that kind of peeks out right here, right? And one of the gentlemen who was high up in finance, a VP of finance, came over to me and with a beer in his hand, and he was straight as a board, had kids and all that. Yeah. And he grabbed his finger and he pulled my shirt over to the side a little bit and he goes, "Who are you, man?" That's all he had to say. And I'm like, I don't know. Hang out with me a little more outside of work and you'll find out,
exactly.
but and he's like, God, I never would have known, number one, you're a surfer. Number two, he thought I was heavily tattooed at the time because I had a big chest tattoo. And it was one of those things where that level of connection where he knew a little bit more about me that he didn't know before made it more genuine and authentic, our relationship from then on, where he felt like he knew me a little better.
Yeah.
And there was no gang affiliation or association, even part of the conversation. However, when I first started getting tattooed before the military, and I was a teenager, right? As soon as somebody saw my tattoos, they were like, "Oh my God."
Always.
Oh my gosh. How would you, why?
Why would
How
you
and
do
why
that?
would you ever do that to your body? You need to get that removed. I hear it's painful. There's nothing but negative talk. Now, little people, children, right, can't stop touching Reese because she's
That little girl.
beautiful. They want to
Still
pet
have
her
that video.
and touch you. And old folks are the same way.
I've had many people where they're like, "Those are
They will
beautiful,"
definitely
and they'll
touch
just
your
like
skin.
grab
It's
me.
the
Yeah.
times.
And they appreciate the art. They're like, "That is really nice." I'm like, "What? Am I in a different dimension?"
Where am I right now?
What year is it?
What year is it?
Yesterday I rode down to the
It's
beach
like
to
those are
meet him.
my favorite compliments.
Absolutely. I rode the
love it.
beach down to meet him with no shirt on yesterday, and some old lady goes, "I love your tattoos and your muscles."
And the
Oh, shoot.
muscles.
Hear that?
Yeah. Oh, Reese,
that
baby, you
tattoos
got
was
nothing to worry
first.
about. As she's showing her titties right now. Oh my
Oh,
God.
I'm just like, calm down. Calm down.
I just feel like it's times. And so I'll circle that back actually to this 5,000-year-old, 6,000-year-old man, the Iceman. The way his tattoos were on his body were around his joints.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like places that he had been inflicted with some sort of injury or pain. And so from a necessity, to come back to that, or facilitator or or whatever it is by association. I think that therapy for those who are capable of affording it these days, it's necessary for them.
Fuck yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. It's so funny when I think about my clients that come in and they're like, they look in the mirror and they're like, fuck yeah, I fucking did that. Like, they're so proud of themselves.
Yep.
They feel unique, inspired, empowered. All the positive things you feel when you just got up on stage, for instance, and communicating in front of 30 to 100 people with your pants down, acting like and owning it. And you're like, I just did that. That's on me for life. I'm owning it now.
Who had no pants on?
It's an accomplishment.
Yeah, I know. You said
Wait,
no
whose
pants
pants
on,
were
and I
down?
go, when did I say I didn't have
Well,
pants?
you said dork and pants. So it went down with no pants on, and you're just owning it.
We'll just say
It's
I
like
didn't
that
have pants
dream
on.
that people have when you walk around naked and you're taking a test in college or something like that. That's what I mean. You just own it. You're just like, I'm here naked.
I think we understood. I just wanted to clarify that he was wearing pants during his speech.
Yes.
I'm
or
just
not.
gonna say,
Or did I
you
miss that?
can
No, I was waiting for
interpretation.
Thank you, ma'am.
If Miracosta, head of Miracosta, is ever listening to this, I was wearing pants.
Yeah,
don't
there
worry.
you go.
I, Collin, wore pants.
But no, it's funny because, like you said, it goes back to the whole confidence in yourself.
Totally. And I even think with the armor idea behind it, and now I'm not saying that this might happen for you guys, but definitely for me, it no longer became my armor. It has come to the point where I've grown so far much into myself and very confident in myself and very accepting of who I am as a person that it no longer is an armor. It's more just, like I said, a journal entry. And I'm sure that in the long run, when you guys get so used to it, and this might not be it might still feel like armor, because it does at times for me, for sure. I like to hang my hand out the window whenever someone's tailgating
man.
me. Be like, oh, my hand's out the window.
It's like when you get that hand tattoo, you're like,
Be
oh, this
scared.
thing?
Be
Oh.
scared.
Well, because some people, they stop tailgating so much when they think that they have to face a tattooed
Babe,
person. Don't
you're
get me
acting
wrong.
like you're dangerous right now.
I'm not. I'm
She's
really
dangerous.
not. I'm
She's scary.
sorry.
She
So
is dangerous.
dangerous.
Terrified for my life.
Are you kidding me?
Look at your face right now. That looks terrified.
I am.
I'm terrified.
I know you'll slash my Achilles real quick.
Oh, don't say that out loud.
Because that's your secret move that nobody sees coming.
In my shoe, yeah.
So if you're ever driving behind Reese, just know she will slash
If she
you.
Just
hops
watch
out,
your ankles.
if she hops
Start
out in some
jumping.
kids,
Just-
I like how Terrence is laughing. He's like, I heard this one too before a lot.
He's like, oh, here she goes again with the Achilles and her little daggers.
We're afraid she's got so many knives now.
oh my god,
Collector.
I know. I saw those in the shop the other day. I was like, what the? Where are these?
Don't worry about
fucking
it.
knives
It's her.
coming
It's
from?
her.
Don't worry about
Different MO.
it. I just
that's
got
her
a lot of knives.
madre. Her madre's secret machetes.
I know.
Oh my God.
Seriously.
She's protecting the shop, man.
Hey.
My mom.
I think
Don't
though,
come at the new shop incorrectly. You will
Yeah.
get good.
We will have an
Seriously.
array, and I will pick one. Bing, bing.
What was that? She said,
Bing, bing.
Picking the knives.
She's
We have
like-
an array. Like, which one do I want
one?
today?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Tuesday machete.
If you don't put it, if you don't put it back up, hey Jack, where's Tuesday?
Swing, 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 swing.
It's getting
Like
sharpened
Wolverine.
up. I had to use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's getting engraved.
I took it to the blacksmith.
Oh my
Pretty
goodness.
much.
All
I
right.
think that's how far we went back.
So, where can we get in touch with you two? Because you're about to open doors, move into a new shop. People are going to need to find you. Jackie, how can people get in touch with you?
Instagram and email.
What's your IG?
IG is Jackie Blaho, JackieBlaho. It's
All
my
right.
Instagram. I'm
Go
trying
see
to change
Jackie.
it. I'm sorry.
No, don't change it. Keep it. Stick to it. And cool. Well, you guys look up Jackie. Go find her. Get on the
Please do.
books. Get on the books. You
Don't be
specialize,
scared.
right? You specialize in a very
Fine line,
specific.
dot work, black work, illustrative, interpreting things. I'll take anything as long as I can put my Jackie flare,
Splair?
flare,
that-
splash, flare on it. Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
stoked
open
to
to
get on your
anything.
books.
let's do it.
I'm stoked to get on the books.
Stoked to tattoo
Make
you.
him
Cool.
wait.
I will. You know,
Oh boy.
I'm so booked out. So sorry. I'll try to squeeze you in when I can.
Yeah, Jackie. How
He
many
really
times have I
wants it on
hit
his
you
butt
up?
Poor
crack.
Collin.
How many times have I tried hitting up? Hey, Jackie, do you have time this week? Yeah.
My poor roommate. She's like, "Can you please do it?" I'm sorry, I'm
Not
just so
feeling it.
busy.
But then when Mama wants her face
Mama.
tattooed,
Yeah, but then when
Next
Reese
day.
wants, yeah,
Yeah.
fucks up with that.
I've been working like 7 days in a row.
7 days in a row.
It's not my fault our schedules don't line up.
Oh my god.
I ask you, put me down in the book. Okay.
I will find time.
Don't take it personal.
This is that brotherly sister fight that, like, it's like, come on.
Are you sure it's more like brother and sister, or is it more like kissing cousins?
Oh,
No.
wow, wow, we just
Brother,
went that
God,
route.
no.
sister. I'm drawing
God,
the
no.
line, brother.
Here-
sister.
You
we
got
go.
a southern
It's
man
on
talking to you.
camera.
You guys got to be careful though. He know.
Oh,
Y'all
man.
know what a
Kissing
kissing
cousin.
cousin is, don't
Well,
you?
he definitely does. So just
Yeah.
let that.
We know the definition.
What is it? Help out our listeners.
For the listeners out there that don't know, no, kissing cousin. It's a family member that you're doing some dirty stuff with as well.
Or it's a family member you think is just outside of the genetic barrier where they're extended, extra
Second,
extended
third, fourth
cousins.
cousin.
gosh,
And you're just
Terrence
not
is
sure.
losing it.
And you're just not sure if the family line really
Terrence is
exists
barely
because
hanging
it's
on.
so gray. So that means you can make out.
That maybe you can have sexual
Ooh, baby. Baby.
relations, sexual
this?
relations. I
Ba-
know because
baby.
the only cousin I like is a girl, so I suppose, but that's not gonna happen.
I'm getting a
No.
little disgusted.
I'm grossed out myself.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna start
I'm
plugging
still in
myself in then.
Will
Yeah, how
we
we
not
get-
plug anything, please? Can you just say
Why
you're
are we
going to
plugging
say?
Can you-
things?
Can you please cut us off right here and
Yeah.
not plug anyone?
So if you need to find me,
Yes, please.
What's your
you
name?
can find me on Instagram. My Instagram tag is grim_sleeper13. That's GRIMM_sleeper SLEPPER 13. And my email's on there as well. Please, I'm trying to move all my DM appointments onto email. So if you want to shoot
If you want to
an
get in a
appointment,
little
yeah,
faster,
let's.
it's more efficient to email.
Yeah, email
but we'll
for
still
sure.
get you.
but yeah.
What's your email?
It's Collin S Tattoo 13 at gmail.com. That's COLLINS Tattoo
Spell it out.
13.
You too, Jackie.
love
What's
it.
your email?
It's long and it's
Jackie Blaho tattoos, easy peasy.
not that. You won't get to me.
Really? That's
It's
it?
tattoos, period, by, period, JackieBlaho at gmail.com.
Beautiful.
It's on your Instagram too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys hit up the crew. They're going to be at the Edge soon. Doors opening soon to be determined on the official date, but fucking stoked.
September.
Oh,
We're trying anyway.
Cool.
But whatever happens,
Got to put it
happens, and
out
we'll
there.
go. We'll go
Put
for
it out there, just like, bink.
Yep.
It will
Thank you
come.
guys for
Thank
coming in and
you.
taking the time.
Thank you.
Stoked.
We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Sounds
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Peace out.
Good job, guys.